like a bloodhound with a whiskey around its leash.
Okay.
All right, 89.
89.
Jesus. Welcome to Overtime, brought to you by KingsCast at www.kingscast.net. I'm Keith Korneluk.
And I'm Chris Kalazewski.
And we are back from my living room.
Woo!
And, yeah, I know, awesome. Better than Staples.
Yeah.
Totally. The Kings, they won coming back from the All-Star break.
They did win. Ooh, we have like Edmonton-type conditions out here tonight in Los
Freezing.
Angeles. It is very cold. Tonight, Kings fans, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild game that took place last night. We're going to talk about the Edmonton game that just finished, give our take on the All-Star game, and we're also going to talk about how's that one guy doing?
How is that one guy doing?
Yeah.
Here we go, episode 89, entitled Time to Win!
All right, Keith, so Kings headed up to Minnesota last night to start their 10-game road trip, the make-or-break road trip, decide if they're going to go to the playoffs, if they're going to do anything this year, if they're going to take a step back, blah, 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 and escaped with a point.
Well, to me, I know there are people online. It was a good defensive game. It was boring. I mean, come on. You know, I think both teams were feeling each other out. The Minnesota Wild tied with Kings in points, so must-win game if we wanted to make the playoffs. Jonathan Bernier came out, made some terrific saves, shutting out the Minnesota Wild. Unfortunately, so did Backstrom. Heading to a shootout. Kings end up losing. We got a point, but it was still a must-win. The only thing for me to take away from it, Chris, is the shootout. I mean, the lineup of Anze Kopitar followed by Jack Johnson and Dustin Brown. I am not a fan of Jack Johnson or Dustin Brown on the shootouts this year.
Well, I think Kopitar obviously deserves a spot up there.
Yep.
He's a great player. He's one of our only true scorers, so yeah, he definitely deserves that number one spot. But Jack Johnson, it's gotten kind of old. His same move every time, and he got unlucky, and Backstrom stopped with his blade of his skate. Just stopped a shot, but Dustin Brown, I mean, it was another awful attempt. They have to mix it up a little bit. I think we talked about Hanzus.
Where was Hanzus?
Or Doughty.
He's great. Yeah, Doughty's very creative. I had a couple shootout attempts last year that went, I think, fairly well.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know what? That said, the Kings are, I think, now 5-1 on the shootout.
Yeah.
Granted, all with Jonathan Quick.
Well, that was the thing last night. The Kings were 5-0 in the shootout, and Backstrom or the Wild were 0-8 or something like that. It was something that was heavily lopsided. So, got the points. That does matter. They weren't going to get 20 points on the road trip, so we'll definitely take the one. But heading into Edmonton.
Tonight.
Okay.
Tonight.
So we're talking about the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are exciting to watch, yes, but they're also awful. And a game that we had to win. Had to.
Well, it's a good thing that we did.
Yes, it is.
All in all, a good game for the Los Angeles Kings. Jonathan Quick did his best impression of a really good Jonathan Quick, stopping over 30 shots tonight. Yeah. Kings winning 3-1. Ryan Smith had 2 goals. Jack Johnson and Drew Doughty combined for 5 points. Johnson also had a goal tonight.
See, that's what we need.
Yes.
That's the problem here with the Kings is they don't have the defensive scoring like they've had last year. But this year, tonight, finally got that, and it was great to see, especially for Doughty. He was fired up out there. He and Hollow were having a little thing going on, which is good to see. But I'll take that. Yeah,
so will I. The other key, power play. 2 of the goals that Ryan Smith had came off the power play, assist to Jack Johnson and Drew Doughty, and it happened off of a one-time shot that ended up getting deflected. Those are the keys. Getting a good power play is really what's going to take us to the playoffs if we get there.
Well, yeah, and also the reason why we are where we are now, because when you have the 21st ranked power play, you're not going to be up in the top 8. You're not going to be in a playoff spot yet. So, yeah, they took advantage of it tonight against a crappy team, and luckily we were able to escape with the win. But the power play goal is huge. I mean, if you look at the Kings power play unit on paper, it should be one of the best in the league.
You would think. All right, so quick standings watch. Los Angeles Kings now have 58 points, which ties us in points for 7th, but really we're 9th because San Jose and Chicago do have a game in hand on us. So definitely not out of it. I said earlier, it's a 10-game road trip, Chris. We either have to go 6-3-1 or 5-3-2 to really have something to take away from this road trip and still be in that playoff push.
Yeah, well, these are the games, obviously that we need to win. There's the 2 sort of subpar teams, especially tonight. They had to beat Edmonton. But they have some big games coming up. They have to play the Caps, got to play the Pens, got to play the Flyers, all on the road.
The Flames on Saturday.
I got to play the Flames too, which they should definitely handle that one too. They're like the Wild sort of.
Yeah, but they're not far behind us.
No, they aren't. So, yes, we won. Climbed up a couple spots. I think we went from 11th to tied for 7th, which equals 9th. So, we're hanging in there. 3 points out of 4. Pretty good.
Yeah, well, I guess.
It's a good start, anyway. So last weekend, the All-Star Game took place in, where the heck was it? North Carolina.
Yeah.
Or the Carolinas or somewhere.
Especially how much I watched.
But that's the point. The All-Star Game, yes, you can make a cute little draft out of it, and let's talk about the draft really quick. Only thing I really watched the whole weekend out of that.
That's it. Me too.
Unbelievably awkward, I thought. It was an interesting idea. Definitely unique. But when it played out, it was just more awkward. And I think we talked about it during the draft, and we said, what would you bet that Kopitar gets picked last?
Well, thank God he did it.
Yeah.
I had a somewhat more positive reaction to the draft. I thought it was a cool idea. Definitely some tweaks that could be made. To me, the highlight was Phil Kessel, who looks fat and unathletic. Yet he's putting up goals in the National Hockey League, get picked last. I mean, it was so appropriate
Yeah,
for
Mr.
him to go
Irrelevant.
last.
Yeah, got a car out of it, though, right?
A Honda Accord.
Well, that's an interesting way to mix it up a little bit. But for the game itself, in any of the sports, there is no way to make this game exciting. It's not the real game. I struggle to even call it a hockey game. It's more like
It's shinny. It's shinny.
Yes, it is.
Fire.
Yes, it is. Very unexciting. But hey, Kopitar went, scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that he should have got the MVP.
Who cares? Who
But
cares
exactly,
got
who
the MVP?
cares? The All-Star Game is for the players. It's for the players. It's something to put on your resume. It's cool. 3-time All-Star or blah, 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 whatever like that. And it's a time for their families to go out to the town and travel around, mess around with the players and get back to business, though. But I think it's a lame weekend. I did not like the game. Sorry, I'm not a fan. Maybe it's fun to go to, but I don't like it.
I think the skills competition also really kind of tried out. Why don't you have the enforcers come up? Do a little fight,
Now you're talking.
kind of, little TKO thing, last man standing, and maybe do something else. Like you take some of the malcontents, sort of the lazy people, like your Alexander Frolofs, and you hold a practice, and the person that wins is the last one to show up because they're lazy.
I like it.
Fans, your question of the day is, what would you do to change the All-Star Game? Leave your comments, as always, downstairs.
All right, so KingsCast, so obviously we're not at the game tonight. We're at Keith's house watching the game in warm conditions.
Toasty.
So we'd like to bring back a segment that we always do when we hit the road. Did this on the podcast for years, and it is called How's That One Guy Doing?
How is he? Randy Jones, Tampa Bay Lightning defenseman, 1 goal and 10 assists, still playing like a 7th D man. Truthfully said, no one likes him.
True. Alexander Frolov, New York Rangers forward, 7 goals, 9 assists, lazy, defiant, major 4th-line minutes. You know what, Frolov? Next stop, KHL.
Eric Herzberg, waived by the LA Kings, played 2 games in the Chester, and then went to the KHL, where he has a 10-4 record and a .929 save percentage. I remember when he was all cute and mobile, but with that kind of stat, call up Herzberg.
Sean O'Donnell, 1 goal, 10 assists. Randy Jones-like numbers. Playing for the Philadelphia Flyers now, and lucky for him, he's actually on a good team, still making that $1 million. And, the 39-year-old guy is still giving his speeches to the kids, telling people what to and what not to eat. So good for him.
Rightus Ivanons, 1 game played, no goals, no assists, yet still a -1. Rightus Ivanons now out with a concussion, has been since the beginning of the season. Good news for Flames fans, he's actually better off the ice.
All right, Kings fans, so we will be back next Thursday after the Pens game, covering the Pens game and the Flames game taking place this Saturday, and hopefully we're getting 3 out of 4 more points.
All right, so stay tuned for that. Next week we may have a special guest, or it might just be us. Stay tuned for that. I'm Keith Cornell.
And I'm Chris Calzewski.
And thank you for watching Overtime by KingsCast.